Welcome to Musings on Mondays, where I take a look back at some of my series and talk about the writing process, things I remember about it, and other fun facts. This week, I'm taking a look back at the Valkyrie duology. If you're unfamiliar, the Valkyrie duology came out in the beginning of 2018, with the first book, Between the Blade and the Heart, came out in January of 2018, and the second book, From the Earth to the Shadows, came out in April of 2018, I believe. So the Valkyrie, it's called the Valkyrie duology because it follows a Valkyrie in training named Malin, and she is a Valkyrie. And in the world that she lives in, Valkyries are the ones who decide when, or they're not the ones who decide, but they are the ones who are charged with sending immortals back when they've kind of had their time on the earth. Like it's, called Valkyrie, but there are so much more than Valkyries and Norse. There's a lot of different mythologies in there. So I think the Valkyrie simplifies it and makes it easier though, so you know what it's about. It is a cyberpunk. It's a very cyberpunk futuristic world. I set it in a future Chicago. I guess I always talk about like the complaints and stuff, like criticisms, things I would change. Like I don't want to be like overly negative on my books all the time because that's kind of a weird thing to do. I think I can be that way with myself too, though. The criticisms that I have seen with the books is just that there's so much in it, and that's true. Because I didn't go with one mythology, I went with like every mythology, and you're like, oh my god, there's so many mythologies. And no, I know I tried to touch like every kind of region of peoples. I wanted to make sure that something from their mythology was represented, and the world is very big, and I wanted the world to be very overcrowded and overpopulated. I think that what I tried to do would have worked better in a visual medium. I really think that this would make an excellent graphic novel, because I think sometimes I'll have Malin will walk into a scene kind of like the Mos Eisley Cantina, from Star Wars. You walk in and it's just full of things, and you can real easily, you can digest that in 10-20 seconds, a minute, when you in a visual medium, if you draw it, you can just show all these characters. Whereas I was wanting to describe characters that you may have never encountered before, because there's some from different mythologies, but I also wanted to make sure that my representation of them was something that was respectful of the culture, and I didn't do anything that was harmful. I mean, I know some of these things are monsters, but they have meaningful places in different cultures, and so I wanted to make sure that I had these respectful interpretations, and I think that left me to over-explain. So one thing I will say, though, is if you were into cryptozoology or mythology at all, I still really would recommend the Valkyrie duology, because I did so much research about various myths and cryptozoology, different creatures, different monsters, because I was looking at like everything. This is just the notes for book 2, for From the Earth to the Shadows. This is my stack of just printed off notes here. This top one is just places and things, so these are just different places and things. The outline, which there's also like a handwritten one on the back I update. These are just general notes. So this isn't even my full character, unless my full character list is much bigger than this. This is my cheat sheet, which will give like basic, so I can just have a real quick cheat sheet, because I had so many different characters. Because I had so many different mythologies, and I will say that was super fun. All the research I did was really fun for me. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed reading all this stuff. I discovered so many creatures that I hadn't heard of before, and there were some that I knew some about, and I really got to delve in more into the mythology. Mythology that is the most represented in the books is Nordic, because I really liked Valkyrie. The basic premise of the Valkyrie duology is that in this world, all of the myths exist. Every kind of like scary monster in our world are real. So every creature. But the idea then is you have some of these creatures, will die naturally, or die easily, but a lot of them are immortal, like vampires and things like that, or they live forever. And they're also living forever amongst humans. So there's humans too that are on the totem pole. There's humans and animals and mythological beings. So all of that lives And so what happens is overpopulation becomes a huge problem. So that's the basic premise of the books. Is just that the Valkyries are trying to keep order in the world between the more powerful immortals and the less powerful mortals, which includes humans. And Odin kind of put them in place many millennia ago to help keep the peace. But now, this has been going on for thousands of years, and things have started to change. And Malin, who is training to be a Valkyrie the way that her mother was before her, is sensing these changes. People dislike the most is just that I think the world is a little too big. I also wouldn't want to cut any of the mythology out from it, so it's really tough because everything that I put in there, I did put in there because I felt like it had a place, that it was building this world, and so it's kind of hard to know which myths and which things I would cut and how I would shrink the world, even though I do agree that it probably should have been shrunk a little bit. But in otherwise, there's a lot of really great stuff that I love. I love Malin. I love her story and her journey. She has an incredibly complex relationship with her mother and with herself and with her identity. She's also, one part of her identity that she doesn't really struggle with is that she's openly bisexual, and she has relationships with men and women in the book, and mortals and immortals too. But she has a hard time learning to love and to let people in based on some of the negative experiences in her life, and the fact that she's a Valkyrie and what that means and what her role is in society. And she struggles with how that fits in and with what's right and what's wrong. And there's a lot of about free will and what it means to be human, what it means to be alive. I had a lot of fun with this book with some of the futuristic technology and with developing that it really has a complex kind of society, and so that was fun. I love Malin's best friend Una. Una is just probably one of my favorite characters also. I feel like, so this is something that I've noticed with a recurring theme of both the input that I'm getting from reviews and my own process in writing books, is I think that I write better supporting cast than I write main characters. But I've noticed a lot is my supporting characters are so much stronger and likable, and I think they've got a stronger personality, and I think a lot of times I actually do use the main character, I think, almost as a vessel to lift up the supporting characters. And I do that a lot. Like I think that Malin's big part in the journey and in the story is really showing the world and the people and the creatures around her. That is like her job. That's how I view her. And sometimes I think that makes then the protagonist's personality not very strong, because if I'm just having them being a documentarian and I want them to just visually show you everything, they don't like add a ton of insight into it. I think I tend to give the insight a lot from the other characters, the supporting characters, because they have social anxiety. So I don't love talking to people, but I love hearing about people. I love finding out about people. I love people talking at me, I guess, is more what I enjoy. And so I think that really comes through a lot in the way that I write, and that there are a lot of the characters around Malin are really good. I really like it. I don't like, I feel like I shouldn't say that like about my own books. I usually don't, but I do. I think the characters that unfortunately I think I struggled the most with to connect with were her love interests. Malin has two love interests, her ex-girlfriend Quinn, who is a Valkyrie, and this guy she meets who is the son of a Valkyrie named Asher. I think one of the areas where I struggled in the romance with the characters is because Malin is, I would say Malin is pansexual. I don't think she really, I know I don't specifically define what it is, because in a lot of the mythologies, gods are very, very gender fluid. Like if you look at Nordic and Greek and just there's a ton of gender fluids in gods in mythology. So in a world where all these gods exist and they are changing their genders, I figured that the world's relationship with gender is going to be different than ours. It just would have to be. And so I think that for the world that Malin lives in, it's sexuality and gender identity are a lot more accepted and a lot more understanding and a lot more fluid because of the nature of the world. But I definitely think that, you know, she is pansexual, and you can see that based on the actions of who she dates. She's very open to all kinds of different beings. I mean, you know, because there's demons and angels and everything in this world, so she is open to different experiences. So I'm bisexual, and or pansexual. I think I usually say bisexual because people know what it means, but I think that pansexual is more accurate. But it was something that I struggled to come to terms with, and I didn't really like accept it or come to terms with it to myself till I was like 30. I mean, you know, and the biggest reason that I didn't is because I didn't really view bisexuality as real for far too long. I mean, definitely during my teens, probably not until my early 20s did I really kind of accept it as an identity and as an attraction. And the reason that I think I struggled with it so much is because I saw what a lot of people I see by the nature of us living in a monogamous society. Most Americans are in monogamous relationships. So when you have that means that if you're bisexual and you date a man or a woman or someone who's non-binary, most people will end up in a relationship, a monogamous relationship of a person of one gender. I mean, I know that non-binary is a real gender, but it does make up a small portion of the population, and it's something that only I personally have started to see. So I will say that I don't think that really affected my perception of bisexuality. It was just that you know, if you get married to someone and spend your life, most people want just spend the rest of their life with one person, and then it seems like, well, you were just a lesbian, you know, or, you know, you were just going through a phase in college. And it's because you were dating in college. It's not necessarily that you were in a phase, but that was when you dated, and then after college you settled down and got in a relationship. That doesn't mean that what you did in college was a phase. It just means that now you're not in a position to act on your feelings. Because, you know, just because if you're a straight woman and you're married to a man, you don't stop being straight when you get married. You're still attracted to men, even though you don't act on it for a variety of reasons. That all of that is going through my head. The kind of the struggles that I had coming to accept my own sexuality, I didn't want to put on other people. I didn't want to reinforce that kind of thing. Unless Malin ends up, you know, with both of them. If she makes one, then it seems like she might be picking a choice between gay or straight. And I wanted to make sure that I was very much representing her choosing love. I wanted her to choose herself, and I wanted her identity as bisexual or pansexual to remain intact. And so I think I did get that ending, but I think that I had some hesitation about committing to either of the relationships because I wasn't sure. I wanted to leave it open to change my mind if things, depending on how I felt, because I was being so careful and cautious with this. But I think that you can feel some of that, my reservations in their love stories and in her relationships with them, that I unfortunately held her back. I think especially in the second book, I figured out more. I knew where I wanted to go by the time I started the second book for sure. And so I think that it gets better in the second book, that I do develop it more. There's everything in the book too is actually like references to some other things. There's so much in the book that are references, like every saying, every artwork, every creature is actually a reference either directly or alluded to another form of mythology. This book is like dense. It is so, the world is very, very layered. And you know, how much you enjoy the book, I think depends on how much you enjoy learning about other mythologies like cryptozoology and stuff like that. And also how much you like cyberpunk. So both books in the Valkyrie duology are out now, and the books are called Between the Blade and the Heart is the first book, and From the Earth to the Shadows is the second one. They're also available together as a one-book bind-up called Heart and Shadow. All those are available wherever books are sold. I'll be back later on this week with Words on Wednesdays, and I'll be back next week with more Musings on Mondays. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well and staying safe, and I'll talk to you later.